The stock market closed mostly unchanged on Monday. Smith & Wesson Brands, Inc. was down 1.4%. Vista Outdoors was down 2%. And in after-hours trading, it was down an additional 1%. Sturm Ruger and Company was down nearly 1%. All three of these companies manufacture guns and assault rifles for American consumers. Now, in the past, after a mass shooting, stocks like these would rise immediately. There would be a mass shooting, and immediately the conventional wisdom on Wall Street would be that gun lunatics are going to panic buy guns and ammunition because they figure the government is finally going to come to its senses and ban assault weapons. The panic buying of the guns and ammunition would mean an increase in business for the gun companies, which would be reflected by a rising share price on Wall Street. But over the weekend, there was yet another mass shooting, and the gun companies performed poorly on Wall Street Monday. What is the market saying? This is odd. Usually gun stocks go up after a mass shooting. What does Wall Street see?
You're listening to The David Feldman Show, you happy, self-actualized hump.
Perhaps gun nuts are no longer panic buying after each mass shooting. Perhaps the gun nuts can finally relax in the knowledge that despite a vast majority of Americans wanting an assault weapons ban, it's not going to happen. Our government isn't going to take away their guns. They don't have to stockpile guns because the government isn't coming for them. They're not coming for the guns because our government cares more about the profitability of a handful of weapons manufacturers than it does the health and safety of our children. That could be one of the reasons the share prices of gun stocks actually went down today. They underperformed the stock market today. Apparently, the days of panic buying are over. The days of panic buying guns and ammunition after a mass shooting are over. Perhaps the other reason gun shares sunk on Monday is guns, specifically assault weapons, are no longer a growth market. The right wing in America is armed to its rotted out teeth. Maybe everyone who wants a gun has one. Maybe no matter how much further testosterone levels and sperm counts go down, no matter how much more the American penis shrinks, and seriously, the American penis is getting smaller, maybe no matter how high the rising number of impotent American men, no matter how many more American men report an increase in celibacy and loneliness, maybe the gun market is saturated. Everyone who was going to buy Cialis, penis extension surgery, pocket vaginas, mommy porn, and assault weapons, maybe they already bought it all. Maybe gun sales, just like the penises of the men who buy them, are no longer growing. See, I don't know, but maybe everybody who thinks they need a gun to feel like a man has one. Sorry, National Rifle Association, but not all American men can't get it up. I'm sorry, National Rifle Association, but not all American men are involuntarily celibate. Not all American men are incapable of expressing their anger and disappointment through words and must resort to your weapons. Not all American men are so out of shape they can't throw a punch, so they need a sidearm. Maybe everybody who needs a gun in America has one. And do men who own guns realize what they're telegraphing to the world? They're saying, my penis does not work. Somebody needs to explain that to these gun nuts. You're saying, I haven't kissed a woman in decades. You're saying I'm addicted to porn. I'm weak. I can't defend myself intellectually or physically. I'm a loser. And the only thing that makes me feel like I have any power is a gun because I'm powerless. I have nothing. I have nothing. Yes, guns, guys, incredibly sexy. It screams masculinity to me when you brandish your sidearm. So maybe all the men in America who hate themselves, who have no faith in their minds or bodies, maybe all these rancid, subhuman intellectual tapeworms, Darwin's also-rans, as I call them. I think of people who buy assault weapons as Darwin's also-rans. Maybe they're fully stocked. Maybe that's why shares in gun companies went down today. Nobody needs any more guns. I doubt it. But it would be nice to think that everybody who needs a gun has one. But if you're thinking of buying a gun, if you're 16 or 17, you're watching me right now, seriously, dude, you need to rethink the idea that owning a gun makes you look masculine or tough. You're telling the world, when you carry a gun, when you buy a gun, when you go to a shooting range, you're telling the world, hey, everybody, look at how powerless and gullible I am. Real men don't need guns. Seriously, dude, you need to hang with real men. Real men don't need guns. And when we see you with your guns, we all know what you're overcompensating for.
You're listening to The David Feldman Show. You happy, self-actualized hump.
Let's talk Virginia with Howie Klein, founder and treasurer of the Blue America PAC. He writes Down with Tyranny. He has a special guest for us. Why is Virginia important this year?
Well, let me introduce our special guest first, and that's Jessica Anderson, who's running for the House of Delegates, which is the lower house of the state legislature. Like in other places, they would normally call it either the House of Representatives or the Assembly. So anyway, Jessica is a progressive candidate who's running in this district, and we decided that we would bring her on to talk to us about her race, talk to us about why the Virginia elections are so important, and why legislative bodies are so important also. So anyway,
welcome, Jessica Anderson.
That the Virginia elections are this year, 2023, not 2024 like every other state except New Jersey. It's 2023. So we're talking about some. In fact, when are the primaries, Jessica?
Primaries are June 20th. Which I do not have one, but they are June 20th, and their voting is underway for the primaries as we speak.
And there's no primary for District 71
now.
No, I am the only candidate for the Democratic ticket, so no.
That's good.
And you're running against a Republican who calls herself an incumbent as well.
Correct. She's a two-time incumbent who also has House leadership in the caucus.
Amanda Batten.
Right. But she doesn't. I mean, your district is different from the district that she used to represent. Am I right there?
Correct. So the district that is now the 71st used to be called the 96. And basically the change was it lost what they call the red stronghold of York County, and it gained the blue stronghold of City of Williamsburg. So it was a pretty significant shift. Makes the seat a little more competitive. A lot of people noticed that Ralph Northam, Tim Kaine, and Joe Biden all won this district the way they are now redrawn. So that gives a lot of, positivity my way that this is a very flippable district. Youngkin won here, but I like to call Youngkin an anomaly, just simply because he just came in and unfortunately had the right messaging at the right time after a lot of parents felt very disfranchised. COVID kind of isolated people. We were seeing a hyper, division in our nation. And he just struck the right tune by engaging this whole parental rights narrative that we've seen Ron DeSantis sell, and all of these other states that are trying to sell packaged up in a nice little bow of fascism. But so I think it's a really flippable seat. I'm really excited about running it. I can tell my candidate, my opponent's pretty concerned. I think it's interesting. They're already trying to smear my name on a national stage. I made it to Fox News Digital this past week. My governor spoke.
What did they say about you on Fox News? I mean,
so they they clipped a video from 18 months ago that I had made right before the Youngkin and McAuliffe governor's race, and it claimed that I am anti-parent choice, parental rights. What's ironic is they're presenting this video as if I'm a teacher, and so of course every comment I'm getting is, she wants to indoctrinate our children. I'm like, no, actually I made this video as a public school parent, just like you. And my message was pretty clear that I didn't want a singular parent to have the ability to dictate the curricula in the classroom that impacts all of the students in the classroom. That's not the way the system structures. But they're trying to do what they did to McAuliffe and imply that I don't want them to have engagement or access to their child's education, which is absolutely the opposite of what I've advocated for. I'm simply stating that when it comes to curricula, those are things that are already created, and parents can engage with the teachers, with the admin, with the staff to make any changes they see, maybe are necessary for their child individually. But again, it should not impact the entire classroom. That's when we're kind of leeching into these fascist movements we've seen with all these bills, like in, Florida under DeSantis, the parental rights bill, the, trans bathroom bills. Now we've got, what's the latest one he's pushing through? He's going after higher ed and dictating what kind of, curriculums they can have. So these are kind of the slippery slopes that we're going to find ourselves in Virginia if we allow Youngkin to gain the House majority, or maintain the House majority and gain the Senate majority, which he currently does not have.
So the
and that's one of the reasons that Virginia 2023 is so critical.
Right now, there's a Republican majority in the House. If you flip a seat and one other person flips a seat, that's it for the House majority for the Republicans. So that's another reason why this race is so crucial. Now, I know that you're really out knocking doors constantly. Are you hearing about any of this stuff when someone opens the door? Are they aware of these issues?
No. Are you talking about like what's going on kind of in the noise of the internet? No. I've been very, right now I'm knocking strong dim, lean dim, and no data doors. And then I'm dropping lit at all the other doors. So I'm kind of in the mindset that even if I'm not knocking your door, I'm going to put something on your door or in your newspaper box so you're going to find out about me. So just this past weekend, I knocked 142 doors. I dropped lit in more than 300 homes. I did 9 hours and 46,000 steps in this weekend. And I think I'm just surpassing 600 knocked doors and probably over 1,000 or more pieces of lit that I've dropped. But, almost every door, with the exception of 3 that come to mind, have been pretty positive encounters. They're super excited to see, a Democrat on the ballot. They're really excited about, what I stand for. Most of them, some of them that are strong Dems, I don't even have to say what my message is. And like, oh, Democrat, okay, great, we're voting for you, bye. I haven't really heard any of this kind of background noise. What's really cool is because I have such a large social media presence, I do have more than 620,000 followers on TikTok. I have 40,000+ and 30,000+ on Twitter and Instagram. People that I knock that I've never met are like, oh yeah, I know about you. So-and-so told me about you and I looked you up and watched your videos, and they get this opportunity to kind of meet and get to know me without actually meeting and getting to know me. Because my personality is available for, anyone's, enjoyment or engagement at their leisure. So I think that's something that I bring to the candidacy that a lot of campaigns don't. This idea that you can literally, at the touch of a button, have access to a candidate and truly what they feel on the issues and how they apply it to their everyday life.
How often do you put videos up on social media?
I do at least one a day. Some days I may do even upwards of 3, maybe 4. But I do try to put up at least one a day. And then I'm pretty active both on Twitter as well, like Twitter, and then occasionally Facebook. Facebook is more for the local. So anything that's dealing with local politics directly with, this race or something going on at the state level or with the governor, that I keep on Facebook because I feel like it's more applicable. But the other social medias, I talk about national things. I relate it back to us, kind of like the thing I wrote today, don't Florida or Virginia, like those types of things, because looking at other red states and what they're doing and what they're wanting to do and what they're pushing forward, that translates to what would happen here if, Youngkin got the trifecta of a, Republican-run House, Senate, and, of course, the governmentship. So we can't let that happen. I think people don't recognize or pay attention to Virginia. We are these off-year elections. We're happening in between midterms and in between presidential elections, but we're also the bellwether state. And a lot of times our elections that happen kind of set the tone for what the upcoming election year at the federal level is going to look like. So I feel like this is an election that a lot of people are looking at. I mean, we've already seen these secret meetings out in North Carolina where Republicans are like, we've got to win Virginia. We know Youngkin's on board to do our agenda. I mean, they're saying the quiet part out loud. And we just need to make sure that the voters know what's on the ticket. I mean, reproductive rights, hands down, going to be thrown to the fire. They introduced 5 bills this year in the General Assembly. And if it wasn't for the Senate majority and, the power of the House committees, those bills would have, come through. And they stopped them dead in their tracks. So they didn't even make it to the floor for a vote. So again, I think these are things that we just have to continuously talk about in the public eye. Also right now, gun violence, gun control, that's front and center. It's every day is 1, 2, 3 mass shootings. We're at 199 mass shootings. We're not even at the 199th day of the year. And, it's because access to guns is too easy. And while we have some of the stricter gun laws in the South, it's the fact that, again, we would be completely reverted if we lose any type of power in the House and the Senate as we have now. So that's kind of what's keeping us safe.
It sounds really dire.
It is. I feel like people are starting to know everything's on the line.
Party? Are you getting support from the Virginia Democratic Party?
Oh, yeah. Yes, they're very supportive of me. They see me as a race that is contentious and competitive and flippable. So I am definitely on their target list. I'm one of the top 20, campaigns that's on their target list for the delegate seats. They've already kind of ensured me that they will pay for one polling. They're going to help me. I already have set up with their mailing system. They are likely going to put a finance person and a staffer on staff for me moving forward, probably in the June timeframe once I have a permanent campaign manager on staff. Right now I just have a deputy campaign manager that's working part-time. They're definitely on board. They're definitely excited about my candidacy. I'm sure I bring something to the table that's a little quirky and different than what they deal with. I joke sometimes. I'm like, I might be a PR nightmare. Sorry, guys. But it's just, I'm not someone that.
What do you mean you bring something to the table? What is it that you bring different? What is it that you bring?
I'm more outspoken. I'm not one that's going to sit idly by. For example, this whole thing kind of went down this past Friday where they twisted an 18-month-old video with purple hair. So, of course, now I'm getting the raging purple hair liberal comments. But they tried to portray me in this light, and I'm not someone that's going to be like, oh, I'm going to sit quiet and let it die. No, that's, things aren't dying in the dark anymore. That's where cancer is growing. And that's how we ended up where we are right now in this debacle, at the national level and many state levels, because people just assumed that the bad would go away. And
you're freezing on us, Jessica. She is frozen, Howie. She's great. Well,
frozen?
Our connection is frozen, so we have to wait for.
Does she hear you?
I don't know if she can hear us. Should we invite her to come Friday and do a fundraiser Friday night for her? She's fantastic.
She is, and that would be great if we can do that. Why don't we get her back now? Let me talk a little bit about the contest that we have going on for Jessica and 4 other progressive candidates in Virginia. So all of the candidates are running for either the House of Delegates, like Jessica is, or the state Senate. In the state Senate, the Democrats have a 2-seat majority. They have to hold on to the majority. So we're raising money for 5 progressive candidates, Jessica being one of them. And the way we're doing that is we're asking people to donate to either to all of the candidates or to any one of the candidates or any combination of the candidates. If you make a donation, and no matter how much it is, whether it's $1,000 or $100 or $10 or even $1, although please just give that little, you can, if you don't, unless you have to, you get entered into a drawing to win a Nimrod Platinum album. So Nimrod was a Green Day album, one of their best. And since I ran their record company, they gave me a double platinum.
The Southern Sun here. Yeah.
She's back. She's back. I think.
Okay.
Well, I was just
Go ahead, Howie.
at the contest, so people will, while you were away there for a minute. So anyway, if anyone who's listening is welcome, they don't have to live in Virginia. Anybody who donates has an opportunity to win that RIAA certified double platinum, beautiful Nimrod record, which just looks incredible and will be fantastic on anybody who knows a Green Day fan would, what a great present it would be. Anyway,
Let me ask a very important question. Let me ask a very
Not
important
done yet. One. Wait. The candidate who gets the most donations will get a $1,000 check from Blue America. So it's a two-tiered test.
Okay.
Have a chance to win the Green Day record. Most donations gets $1,000. So there, somebody
I'm sorry?
making an espresso.
There is, I think she's there's some wind coming in. I have a very important question. I have an important question to ask you, Howie Klein. How do people donate to Jessica? This week it would be great. You can go to Jessica's website and donate at her website. And Jessica, but this week it would be great if people went to the contest site instead. And if you go to Jessica's website, there's also a link for the contest page, right, Jessica?
Yes. So if you donate through the contest page this week that ends on Saturday at midnight, you can select me specifically and donate directly to me, or you can donate to all of the Virginia candidates by donating at the top, and it's dispersed evenly. But under any
How do they find
circumstances outside of this week,
how do they find the page to donate to you at? How do they find that page?
Yeah. So if you go to JessicaAndersonForva.com, that is my website. My Act Blue is at the very top and also has all of my issue pages, all of the information about me. All of my socials are on there. So you can find me on TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and Twitter and all the places. So yeah, it's kind of a one-stop shop of everything, but it's JessicaAndersonForva.com.
So it's Jessica Anderson for Virginia, but it's FOR for 4 and Virginia VA.
Yep.
Jessica Anderson, FORVA.com. No tricks there.
Correct.
And your name is just spelled like normal Anderson.
Like what?
Yes. And
a very normal Jessica Anderson.
S-O-N.
Right.
Yes. Very basic.
So Jessica, I know from talking to you that you grew up or at some time lived with a very, very conservative Christian family, and then you eventually wound up as a Bernie person. You want to talk a little bit about that, how that came about, how that change came about?
I can. Yeah. So growing up, I was very apolitical. My parents did not talk politics. We did not talk, there was like that rule. You don't talk politics, you don't talk money, you don't talk religion growing up. So we really didn't have those conversations. I like to say my grandma taught us that we believe in God and we pray when shit goes south. That was kind of like all we were taught. We didn't really have any other like conceptualization. She thought everyone in the church were hypocrites. So we didn't go to church. We had no organized religion growing up. But I met and married my now ex-husband back in 2001. And basically they were a super Christian conservative family, very different for me. It was just not something, again, that I was raised in. They went to church every Sunday morning, Sunday night. We're at Awanas. Like this was a very dedicated church family. Met and married them, was married, actually engaged in less than 8 weeks, married within a year. Went on to have 3 children, was married at age 20. I came and drank at my own wedding. But went on to have 3 daughters over the course of our 13-year marriage. Got divorced in 2014, kind of was expelled from my church because of the divorce. So that was kind of like an eye-opening experience for me that I was a stain on their, on their religion by going through this divorce, even though I was doing it for the right reasons. So that was kind of my first domino that fell, shall we say, and then found myself on social safety nets. And, because I was a single mom of 3 daughters, I no longer had health insurance. So I had to get health insurance for my kids. We were on EBT, so I could put food on the table when I returned to the workforce. So a lot of struggles that I just never, dealt with as an individual. I grew up in a relatively middle class, white suburban family. Me and my ex-husband, while we, struggled, we did okay. We lived paycheck to paycheck. We had months where we lived behind paycheck, but we got by. So this was a really kind of low moment for me to really have to ask for help. About a year after returning to the workforce, I got a slight pay increase of $5,000. Super excited about that. Only to discover I was going to lose my EBT every month. So I exchanged $5,000 of taxable income for roughly $7,000 a year in food cost. So it was really another experience where I'm like, why is the system set up for us to fail? Like, I'm at a deficit now. So again, another eye-opening moment. Like, we could be doing things differently. Fortunately, met and married my now husband. We married almost 5 years together, nearly 8. Met through the running community. I'm a big ultra runner. And basically, my financial situation changed because of that, but that's not the story for a lot of other people. So I went on to work at the public school system in the front office. Again, having some financial security gave me the ability to take a pretty significant pay cut and have a better schedule for my children. And then I opened my eyes to this lack of equity, the poverty situation, the food insecurities in our community. I'm seeing all of these things behind the scenes working in the school system. And it was just devastating because on the outside, especially in like the city of Williamsburg and James City County, this community appears to be so collectively wealthy. And then you realize, actually, it's not. It's really not. And there's a lot of disparities going on and a massive, gap between the wealth state, between, the lower and the higher, resources. I mean, my school alone, we have William & Mary College professors with homeless community students. So that's the caveat. So then COVID happened, which was just a nightmare. Again, food insecurities are at a level high. Children are not getting food because they're not in school every day. They can't find a quiet, safe space at home. They don't have Wi-Fi. Just the foundational fracture that exists in this community that appeared so great on the outside to me all these years was like eye-opening. I found myself on TikTok, literally and figuratively, started to talk politics after January 6th, built this massive following. And it gave me exposure to even more communities that I didn't have access to, the Black community, Indigenous communities, LGBTQ plus communities, letting me hear their stories, letting me hear their experiences, the oppression that they've experienced, the shortcomings they've come through, being marginalized, being judged based on either the color of their skin or their, who they choose to love. Like, all of these things just made me realize that we could be doing better in politics and we could be doing better by the people in policy. I briefly thought about running for Congress. That was about a week-long live of last year. And then after some conversations, some things that happened locally, and some local political activists that really talked to me, and they're like, your passions belong at local and state level. You're passionate about reproductive rights. You're passionate about public education. You're passionate about seeing more equity within our community. Like, that's something you can really do at the state level. So September, I threw my name in the hat. January, I did all the work, got my petition signatures, got my paperwork done. And basically got a lot of people behind me and showed them for the last 5 months now that I am a hard ass worker. If I set my mind on something, I'm going to do it. And I feel like I've just been proving that ever since. This is something I really want to do. And yeah, I feel really passionate about it. And I think that my opponent does not understand or relate to anybody in this community. And she's not a good representation of this community.
Can I ask you about the religious right? Because I don't really pay attention to them until it's too late. I'm now discovering that in Texas, they want to get rid of no-fault divorce. I thought it was a given that we would allow women, two-thirds of women initiate divorce to get out of usually abusive relationships. And now it turns out the Christian right wants to get rid of no-fault divorces. I'm laughing because I'm in a New York City bubble. What else are they dreaming up? What other fresh hells do they have in store for us?
They would love to reinstate Christianity into the school system. But it's not because they want Christian schools. It's actually because, or at least the politicians. So I'm gonna be really real. If you deep dive into Jerry Falwell Sr., you kind of see the birth of why we're where we are today. This has been like a 50-year strong progression to this hellscape that we now see as the United States. And what brought that about was, he literally got people on board with the pro-life, the forced birth movement, because he realized that going against integration was not working for him. It wasn't the messaging he needed. So he knew he could get people on board and vote for the politicians he needed so he could maintain his Liberty Academy and his Liberty University and keep them predominantly white. Up until probably about 20 to 30 years ago, it was still almost maybe 1% not white population in these, universities and academies. And we see this national push for school choice, which inevitably is self-destructing public education because a lot of these politicians aren't using the public education system. They don't need it to thrive. They don't need it to be successful because their kids are tucked away in private schools. But they want those things to die and basically be underfunded, understaffed, and just at a deficit, so that the majority of people that are lower income, that have less economic success, that have less access to resources, are now going to be even more uneducated and have even less opportunity within society, so that the only people that are going to thrive are majority white, citizens that have access to economic wealth and then go to these private schools and these expensive schools that will give them the needs and meet the needs that they want. And ironically, they want to funnel this public money into these institutions, knowing that these private institutions don't have to follow any guardrails by the state, none whatsoever, that they can churn away any student for any reason whatsoever with no reason given. It could be the color of their skin. It could be based on academic. It could be they have a black mark from a behavioral issue. It could be they have disabilities. And then the fact that even to go to these schools with things like vouchers, you still need to have at least some type of economic wealth to make up the difference of tuition, because they usually give out about $6,000 to $7,000. These schools are costing upwards of $10,000, $20,000 a year. So you still have to have some type of privilege to even access these schools with vouchers in place. And if you look at any red state that is these, Bible belts, their public schools are at the bottom of the bin. They are the bottom 20 are predominantly red schools that have school choice in place in their states. And they push it as a parental rights idea without ignoring the fact, and a lot of parents aren't realizing they're actually going to be harmed because, again, these politicians do not care if the public sphere succeeds because they're not using it for their own children.
Let me ask you
for religious right.
Let me ask Howie a question and then get your answer to this. I live in a bubble, and I always assume it's about class, that if you take care of the 99% and the rising tide will lift all boats and they won't fall prey to fascism or the daring do of the Christian right. Is that true, or is the Christian right in and of itself a movement that has nothing to do with poverty or immiseration? Is this something that Medicare for all and universal basic income can't solve?
The Christian right, actually, the funny thing is, even though they would fight against something like Social Security, they would fight against something like Medicare, fight against Medicaid, they use that stuff. They use it as much or more than anybody else. And then they get used to it and they like it. But when anyone comes along with something that's going to be helpful like that, that's going to help the working class, their pastors are leading the charge against it. And then they're a bunch of brainwashed zombies, I think. I mean,
can you have, Jessica, could we have Medicare for all? Could we have a union movement that provides livable wages to everybody in the South and still have the rise of Christian right fundamentalists, anti-abortion, anti-LGBTQ, persecuting transgender children?
Yeah.
Can those two things happen at the same time?
The problem is that the Christian right has been kind of hijacked. So my answer, I think, is it's hard. It's not, because there's a side, the political hierarchy on the right has convinced these people that if they're not against these movements, they're not against these socialized programs, and they're in these crux of, like, it's socialism, it's Marxism, it's communism. I don't know what any of those three words mean, but if they kind of paint them in that way, then they will arbitrarily be against them. Even for the people that are, like you said, using them. I know people, like you said, that are religious, devout religious, homeschool, were on social safety nets, taking advantage of famous because they were, and they literally condemn other people for doing it, calling them.
Right, but if you could pause for 1 second, let's try to answer this question. Does class consciousness inoculate the masses from the temptation of either fascism?
Oh, is it ending? Oh, okay. I'm going to come in. So sorry.
Okay, we have to wrap it up.
Somebody have to.
Are we losing you?
Over.
Yeah.
Although, Jessica, David wants to invite you to a fundraiser to raise money for you.
Okay.
Why don't we wrap this up, because you have to go, right?
Yes.
I've lost you. Jessica Anderson, you're fantastic. Go. I want to have you back, and Howie will sing your praises in your absence. Thank you, Jessica Anderson. You're fantastic. And let's raise money for you right now. Thank you, Jessica. We lost her, Howie. So she's fantastic. One of the most articulate. Are you there, Howie?
I am, although I won't be for too much longer. We're 6 minutes over, and I'm making dinner.
Okay. Very quickly, answer my question. Will class consciousness inoculate the masses from falling prey to the Christian right? I don't think so. Right. I agree with you.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
It won't.
Okay.
First of all, there is very little class consciousness. And especially in rural areas. I mean, what she was saying about socialism and communism, you hear that out of Trump all the time. He's carrying on about socialism and communism, and people don't even know what he's talking about, but they know it's a bad thing, but they don't know why, they don't know what, and they don't understand. So there's very little class consciousness. By destroying the education system, which the Republicans have been doing gradually over decades, and now they're moving to, do the coup de grace, then no one will ever know what any of this stuff means.
Very quickly, plug Jessica Anderson. How do my listeners donate to her? Very quickly, and then I'll let you go.
The best way is to go to Jessica Anderson for FOR, Jessica Anderson for Virginia, VA. So Jessica Anderson, FORVA.com, and you'll find all the information you need there.
Read Howie Klein over at Down with Tyranny. Thank you, Howie.
Thanks, David. Take care.
Hey.
You're listening to The David Feldman Show. You happy, self-actualized hump.